But having a coach that you can visit to help with that technique or the next step is different to watching a YouTube video and saying, here's all the progressions, but the progressions, it's a 10-minute video or a 5-minute video. These are progressions that are like 3 months apart, So, and knowing when am I ready to move to that next progression, that's when it's worth coming to see a coach.
Check in or something like that.
Yeah, check in, how's the technique going? Am I ready for the next step? What's required for the next step?
Yeah, or why I'm not getting to the next step.
Kids, before they've learned a somersault, they would have done years of learning forward rolls down a wedge, forward rolls on the floor, forward rolls up a slope, rolling everywhere else, jump and land and roll. They've done thousands of rolls. So if they're doing a somersault, their body understands that movement. They're not getting dizzy. Their body knows where they're going to be. So if something goes wrong, they're prepared to catch themselves. If you come in as an adult and you've never been upside down or haven't been upside down for 20 years, you want to do a somersault, and that's why we do all our rolls on the floor, and you'll see you do 3 rolls in a row, you stand up completely disoriented. Well, that's why we're going to do that, because I don't want you to get in the air, be 1.5 meters in the air, lose where you are, and come down on your head. What happens if you land in full squat from 1.5 meters in the air and you can't get into that position? You're going to do damage. So,
something's got to give, right?
So I'm probably a little bit overcautious in that, which may frustrate some people. But I would rather you not learn that skill today and go to work tomorrow, then get that skill today and then have 3 months off work. The hardest thing is doing it. The first step's always the hardest step, right? For sure. Don't feel like it doesn't matter that you're not where you were. It doesn't matter that you've never done it before. If you want to do it, what's stopping you?
Hi mate, welcome to the 4th episode of the Movement Therapy Podcast, where we help you return to the gym and stay there. So today, we've got a very special guest, Andrew Cordery today, and he owns and runs Alpha Gymnastics, and I've done many of his classes in the past. That's how I've got here. He's tried to help me out with handstand and all sorts. This guy is an absolute beast when it comes to gymnastics. Okay, he will surprise you how. I just remember going through the classes and whatnot, and he just does everything with ease, really. So I'm just really happy to have this guy on. Thanks for coming along, Andrew.
No problem. Thanks. It's what happens when you do one rep instead of the whole set of the class, right? You can just pop up and just do one thing. No pressure.
That's it. Because you're well rested and you'll be able to crank.
I haven't done an hour of training before it.
That's the secret. That's the secret, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just really happy to have Andrew on board here. So we're going to talk all things gymnastics and a little bit other things, but we're just going to help out with people who are listening, helping you probably getting back into the gym, or more specifically getting back into gymnastics. So just to kick off, tell me a little bit about yourself, Andrew. So let's start off with tell me a little bit about what you do at Alpha Gymnastics.
Yeah, so we run mostly recreational gym. That's kind of where we're at, about using gymnastics, the sport, as a pathway for movement, I guess. That learning movement in our gymnastics setting, but really the focus was around non-traditional gymnastics, just gymnastics as a body movement exercise.
Okay, yeah.
That was definitely an intention behind it. We started in 2015, so it's going for a little while now. It was kind of by chance, the space opened up, it was available, so I just jumped at it. But really it was about trying to provide an opportunity for people to get involved in gym or in a gymnastics environment without without putting on a leotard and without all the typical sort of gymnastic stuff. That where can I go to get the benefits of swinging and jumping and rolling,
all the fun stuff. That's it,
and the benefits that come along with that, without having to feel like I need to start doing 10 hours a week and I need to become never professional gymnasts are few and far between, but without that long-term sort of burden
the pressure.
That's it. How can I learn to swing, learn to jump, learn to fall, and enjoy movement?
Okay, cool. And you do. So I suppose with at Alpha Gym, because I've obviously come along to the adult classes. It's been a little while since I've dropped in there though, because
that's right. You've got lots of stuff going on. Podcast to record.
Oh yeah. So, but just trying to get a little bit bigger. That's all I'm trying to do at the moment. So just so you also do a bit of adult stuff, and then
in saying that's where we started, right? And then as with business, I'm sure you start with you have these different opportunities come up, and so now we do have a small competitive program that we are fairly selective. They're making sure that the kids have that right fit for them, that it's what they want, and that they're going to be able to cope with that. It's a different style of class, so we're quite cautious in the way we choose kids into that. And then we added adult gymnastics as well. Fairly recently, we got some help from Gymnastics SA to do a trial program, and it was pretty popular, and so we're still running that as well. Mostly, I'd say probably non-gymnasts that are coming in as beginners as adults. There's a few places around that will do like an open gym. You can come in, if you were a gymnast, you come in, you can swing on the bars again, sort of get that nostalgia. But we tended, I wouldn't say we focused on it, just kind of fell that way, that people that had never done gym wanted to come in and try it for the first time, and being a small gym, ours was a good environment for that. So we've got that. We do some school classes as well, and we've kind of diversed a little bit.
So I suppose the age group is from what's the age group kind of?
Well, we used to do some kinder gym, but we're not doing that at the moment. We're based in a primary school hall, so access to the site during school hours, especially post-COVID, was really tricky. So we're not doing kinder gym at the moment. So from sort of 3.5, 4-year-old, like preschool age, through to, well, maybe I don't want to say our oldest member, but into adults that still want to move. So,
adults, yeah. Like myself, So okay, that's really cool, man. So it's it's a great place to go. Definitely check it out. So I suppose with let's just talk about like I have to ask when you started gymnastics.
Well, I was a child, not a young child, like maybe 9. So not like
That's
a really
not a young child.
Well, for gymnastics, people are getting at kinder gym. Like
so it's like 4. No,
walking. There's baby gym classes. So if you're really keen, there's places that you can come in if from walkers. So I was pretty late as a competitive gymnast into gym, but at 9, I was a pretty active child, climbing up stair rails and things like that. Climbing trees. So my parents put me in gym. It's a pretty common way that parents are sick of having footprints on their walls, so they bring the kids into gym. Just sort of fell into it. It's a pretty lucky time. Around that time, early 90s, gym in Australia was growing pretty well. We had a couple of successful guys at Commonwealth Games, through later in Olympic Games as well, through the late 90s. We hosted the World Championships in 94 in Brisbane. Okay. So it was sort of just after I started, I got this opportunity to see like the world's best gymnasts in my backyard, and stay back and get their autographs and get pictures with them. And so probably that was a pretty lucky time for me, that as I was just sort of falling into this sport, I got to see what it could be and really get inspired. So
definitely.
So after there, through the 90s was sort of my peak training time, through the teenage years. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the golden years, back in the good old days, the 90s, back in the day. Right?
Yeah.
And it kind of just became, I don't know, what I wanted to do. So my first job was teaching in a gym.
Yep.
It was just kind of been constantly in gyms pretty much since then. And
so when did you, I suppose, like, let's, because I would like to know a bit about your training, because people are kind of interested in, your
introduction may have fooled people a little bit. So
we'll dial it back, like when, because I know, because I've seen you move around in that, you move pretty well. Like, what was, like, when you were, when you're talking like the best years of it, like how much training were you putting in per week?
So my most was probably 20 hours a week. So it's a lot, right? Yeah.
It's a lot of work. That's what I'm trying to get across.
Sure, and that was to...
How long were you sustaining it? You're like...
So when I started about 9, I was pretty we started in a local little community group. It was like a little hall that we roll out some mats. We learned to skip with the skipping rope. We'd go and visit the bigger gym once a term, and they had bars, and that was really exciting. But I was really lucky that every coach I went to had they were connected with the community around them, and they didn't try and keep me as a member. They were like, oh, if you want this, you need to go here. And if you want this, you need to go here. And so I just got to keep moving until I found the place that could satisfy my hunger, I guess.
Yep.
And then you'd find a club that then they had competitive gymnasts, and so probably from 13, I reckon I was probably doing 9 hours a week. Like 3 nights a week. And how much, like you said, it's priorities, right? How much can you commit? You know, if you're in an environment that you can train 3 or 4 times a week, that's pretty common for a teenager wanting to do like state team level stuff. You know, if you're looking down the elite stream, it's like 20 hours a week for 10 years, you know.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes more than that if you really, you know, it becomes a full-time commitment. I was still studying and working, so, you know, you have to kind of take your priorities. It's never going to be that top tier athlete, but I loved it. You know, so you keep doing it, and it was could be doing plenty worse with your life, you know, than hanging out in the gym and, you know,
definitely
training and
stuff
like that.
Trouble.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So I suppose like as you got into your 20s, then, you know, you kind of trailed off.
I got to a point where I was doing my final prac of teaching, so I was trying to coach in the morning, like run classes. Go and teach for free, because as a student, you know, you're just learning to teach. So do my day at school, come back and coach in the afternoon to earn a wage, and then try and train afterwards. Something had to give. You know, I wasn't going to make a career as a gymnast, so that kind of finished, you know.
Oh, well, you know,
but
you're making a career as a gymnastics teacher now. So
and I still do it for fun, you know. It's hard to lose that desire to swing around and that thrill that you get from that sort of movement.
Definitely. That's why I always like coming back to it, and I'll come back to it soon. I'm sure.
There's always a space for you.
Sure. So with let's say, so you've had so obviously you had like plenty training hours, you know, with your own training. We've always got to come back to injuries and just, you know, let me know what is your history been? That's my thing.
Your go-to question. What's your history? I've been pretty lucky with injuries that you know, not really. I had a bit of wrist pain, like ganglions cut out of my wrists. Both of them.
Can you explain what a ganglia is?
So I've got one at the moment, actually. So you can see, because I'm still doing handstands. Like the joint fluid just kind of comes out of the joint a little bit. This one doesn't bother me. I don't do enough for it.
And you can poke them in.
This one's pretty soft.
It's just really fluid, isn't it?
Yes, the joint fluid has kind of come out and bubbled up. You know, above the joint. This one doesn't bother me too much. It's a soft one. So when I was training, I had a couple of calcified ones that were really causing a lot of pain. So they had to cut them out. They tried sucking them, but I kept one actually for a lot of, like, I was kind of a bit, even from that early time, like, you know, the human body's always been pretty fascinating. You know, like you've said that you'll go through your study because you just want to learn more about your injuries and stuff like that. I always found that really fascinating that, you know, I want to watch them, like, not gym related, but I cut my knee right open, and you know, I wanted to watch the way they stitched it up, and you know, stuff like that's always been not so much now. I'm actually a bit more queasy as an adult now. Way worse as an adult. But I've always been fascinated with that sort of stuff. So, but in terms of, you know, I tore my meniscus in my knee, but that was all. So I was pretty lucky there was no ligament damage with that one. Had a couple of like ankle jams, which most gymnasts get. Some shoulder pain, but been pretty good. Broke my thumb kind of, but it wasn't really bad. So I've been pretty lucky with injuries,
considering
actually.
that amount of time.
So the number of you know, gyms certainly got a bit of a history of, you know, off-season surgeries and stuff like that. But I was never really at that top level, but I guess lucky that I had people that worked with me that didn't really push past that. You know, that were understanding
recovery and stuff.
And you don't have to train through pain and stuff like that. You know?
Definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely talk a bit about that later on, some of that sort of stuff. So
so I've been pretty lucky. Nothing huge to.
No. So I feel like I should have been the amount of issues I had, like, but I've just got no good story from it. So, so, you know.
Well, I kept the meniscus. They cut out. So I got a video of that, which was pretty cool. So I got to use that as a PE teacher. We looked at the anatomy of the knee in our anatomy classes, and I kept the little bit of meniscus they cut out for a few years as well. So it's just not gory, but it's just fascinating, I guess.
That's funny.
To see, maybe a bit strange. I wasn't one of those kids that kept their scabs in a jar and then, you know.
Right.
This is fascinating, I guess.
I didn't know this. That's why I got you.
I don't have any more. There's no way my wife would let me keep a piece of my knee cartilage sitting on the shelf or something like that. But,
maybe,
But
that's
fascinating
funny.
in the understanding the body, I guess, was just fascinating that anything like that happened.
Yeah.
Was an opportunity to learn more about
yourself.
How it worked.
Yeah. No, I can totally get from that angle. Yeah. Okay, cool, man. So we've got a bit of an idea of what you do, who you are for the viewers and listeners. So this is we'll dive into a bit about, you see a lot of quite a wide range of people that come through. You've got a lot of personal experience in gymnastics.
Yeah.
What's I get, there's different kind of injuries that always come through my door. What's the most common injury or issue that comes into your gym?
We don't have a lot, so I'm pretty cautious that, I don't want. I would be pretty upset if anytime there's a major injury in our class. I don't like that. We've had a couple of minor ones. I've seen worse than what I've been involved in. Overuse is pretty common. Like wrist pain, really common. Or a bad landing on an ankle or something like that. But I'm pretty cautious in my classes. Probably overcautious, but I don't want to be the one that pushes too hard and then cause an injury, whether it's because they weren't emotionally ready and so they come off and hurt themselves, or an overuse injury. There's really no excuse for causing an overuse injury in a kid,
No. But you'd think they'd be mostly quite resistant to that.
And the nature of gym, I think, as well, is that it's so progressive in that everything is built upon something else. Like, someone doesn't come into the gym and start doing 6 hours a week. They'll do an hour class a week, and they'll start doing a little bit, and then you do a little bit more. And so over that time, your body's got years to develop the strength and the ligaments, the bone density that you can handle those things. And that's where training adults is really tricky. Working with kids, you can see they progress through years of being in the gym. And all the kids will come through our rec program or plan something. So there's a process of years of development. And when you look at gymnast bodies, you've watched the Olympics. That's because they've been loading their body for 20 years.
Consistently.
That's right. So you can't get a gymnast body in 2 years. It's no, you could get big. But not 2 years. But the strength of their ligaments, the strength of their tendons that they've developed over 20 years of loading. It's that's why they can do the things they do.
That's why they look the way they are too. So.
That's right. So working with adults has been trickier because there's a lot more variation.
Unravel too.
That's it. So they will come in and they'll say, I want to do this trick. I've been playing with handstands, but it's just such a big range. Some guys will come in like you that have already got a huge fitness journey previously. They can hold themselves up. They can do push-ups. They can do muscle-ups. They can, all this stuff they're already prepared for. And someone else will come in who can't full squat. They want to learn a somersault. What happens if you land in full squat from 1.5 meters in the air and you can't get into that position? You're going to do damage.
Something's got to give, right?
So I'm probably a little bit overcautious in that, which may frustrate some people. But I would rather you not learn that skill today and go to work tomorrow, then get that skill today and then have 3 months off work, especially as an adult when you've got to work to provide a family or something like that. So,
that's it. That's totally true. And I suppose that's a big difference as you get older. You got more responsibility.
That's it. You can't afford to get hurt. I was telling you before I sort of started trying to skate a little bit more. But that's it. You got to be cautious. If you fall off and break an arm,
you're breaking more than just your arm, right?
That's right.
You've got other assets, and other aspects of your life that you've giving up with that broken arm.
It's not something I can just go around and get my mates to sign a cast anymore. It's more than that.
It's not cool. It's not cool to get a broken arm at when you're
it's not cool for a kid to break an arm either. I don't want to be
when you're a kid it's kind of cool, but you just don't want to you don't want to go down that road. If you don't have to. So all right, cool. That's so I suppose the key is the progression. I reckon you're going to answer. The next question is, what is the mistakes that people who are just starting out let's say
Yeah.
People that are starting for the first time
As an adult,
what are mistakes? they make?
rushing for sure.
Yeah,
Rushing. It's it. Rushing. Whether it's a strength move, and so they want to do a muscle up.
Yeah.
But they don't
Everyone
have a full dip, right? So then, how are you going to? You can't get into the position for one. So if you're going to spend time to get into the positions properly,
mobility.
Are you going to spend time to get strong in that position?
Yeah.
And then the positions that your body is getting into, like I think you might have done some rings work when you came in, loading a ring support with straight arms, just the load it puts through your bicep tendon, it's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
So that takes time. You're not going to go straight to full body weight. You've got to start to do just partial body weight. It takes.
It's very patient. Time. You have to be very patient.
You've got to be, for sure. And same with skills as well. If you so you want to learn a somersault. But kids, before they've learned a somersault, they would have done years of doing forward rolls down a wedge, forward rolls on the floor, forward rolls up a slope, rolling everywhere else, jump and land and roll. They've done thousands of rolls. So if they're doing a somersault, their body understands that movement. They're not getting dizzy. Their body knows where they're going to be. So if something goes wrong, they're prepared to catch themselves. If you come in as an adult and you've never been upside down or haven't been upside down for 20 years, you want to do a somersault. And that's why we do all our rolls on the floor. And you'll see, you do 3 rolls in a row, you stand up completely disoriented. Well, that's why we're going to do that, because I don't want you to get in the air, be 1.5 meters in the air, lose where you are, and come down on your head or in a deep squat or something that, fall onto your belly with your legs over the top. There's too many things can go wrong. I don't like to take that risk.
Yeah.
But then some adults will come in and they've got that history, so it's hard to judge. You've got to come in basically. And I know it's frustrating. Most people are pretty understanding that I say, well, let's go through this first, and I'm up front and say, I know you can probably do it, but for my peace of mind, I just want to see that we can go through this.
I want you to prove that to me.
Well, yeah, kind of, right? But it's and that sounds a little bit condescending, but. Treat it as a warm-up maybe. Just, I don't want to tell people what they can and can't do, but I also don't want injuries in the gym that I'm responsible for.
No. So. And I suppose that's, I suppose the difference between that and weight training, I suppose people are a lot more, I suppose with trainers, like generally like personal training, you think of a personal trainer, it's like the opposite of that. It's like just go, jump.
Well, you wouldn't put a heavy weight.
I wouldn't do it. Right. But just in like the general...
Does it happen in the PT world? Like people putting on heavy weights really quickly as a trainer, obviously kids in the gym.
There's definitely things going on like that, If you think of a personal trainer, generally you think someone that's going to, really flog you or work you really hard and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like the gymnastics, because you're learning stuff that's a bit more... There's a lot to it, when you're doing a handstand or something like that. There's a lot more, there's a lot more progressions to get to that. And you can't just skip... You can't just jump and skip a whole bunch of things before getting hit, because you'll just fall over. It's
I think something with adults is probably fear is a good indicator.
And there's fear too. There's more fear in that.
Yeah, and that's a good personal safety device, right?
It's
if you're scared of something, there's probably a reason, right? So let's, often with adults, that fear will help guide that progression, that you won't go too far. Because
the mind needs to catch up to the both weight. You don't want. I suppose you don't want you want your mind to limit.
Yeah, and so then the other problem that an ex-gymnast will come in, right? That remembers all the movement, but their body's not ready for it.
That's it, because their head's ahead of,
And they can understand it, they can still do it, but they try and do something, their body, it didn't happen. Because you're 20 kilos heavier than you were, or it's just out of practice. Kids experience that too when they go through a growth spurt, that, the things that they could do 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago are difficult because they've got different levers, and so that's a challenge with kids. But so that's a different challenge between an adult beginner who their body or their mind, maybe
their body's limiting them already.
You kind of have to go through that process. But if they come in with some training, physical training, they can hold themselves up on their hands. Cool. But what do they do if they don't balance correctly? What happens if something goes wrong? Are they prepared to catch yourself? Or an ex-gymnast will come in and understand what they're doing, but to do that workload, their body can't handle it anymore. So you've got to, that's more difficult. And I still make that mistake sometimes, that, you've got these certain things that you want to maintain.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think, I'll go a bit harder, but if I'm not training regularly, I probably shouldn't be doing those things.
Yeah, you pull up sore for the whole week or
that's
something.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that leads me on to the next question. What do you recommend for those people that, did a bit of gymnastics as a child, and now they're in their 30s and they're like, I want to get back into this, like...
Patience as well, We've got to do it. First, get in and do it, for sure. Don't put it off because, you're 30. Why not? What who wants to go and walk on a treadmill? Well, I don't know, maybe I'm sure people do. I don't want to. If it better than not walking.
Not me. No.
better than not walking, right?
It is. Sure. It is.
So
true.
yes, if that's your thing, but for me, I couldn't do it. I need some more varied movement. So definitely get out and try it, but understand that
it'll take time.
You won't be able to do everything you could do.
So don't let the last 5 or 10 minutes of conversation scare you if you're listening. So. I suppose getting back into it, you've just got to be.
And you can't expect to do the tricks you were doing.
No,
and that can be hard to deal with as well. But there's still a rush. You can still get that same thrill. Without having to do the really tricky stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And it's I suppose what I always tell my clients that come through, though, because I've obviously done a bit of lifting. They'll get over the injury and then get back into it. It's a lot easier. The second time you do anything, than the first time.
And then adults sometimes will come in and think, it makes more sense now because as an adult you've got a better understanding of things. You can think about things more clearly. So sometimes you can make sense of skills that you couldn't do as a child.
So it's always good to revisit those things as a kid, and then you'll be like, So definitely worth checking it out if you. I mean, that's what I always used to
it's a thrill. Like I said, I couldn't walk on a treadmill for half an hour. So
there's something for everyone, right?
And don't feel like we can do it. That's it. You can find something. You can't do a push-up, then we can do an incline push-up. You can't do a squat, then we can do a raised squat rock. There's always a way to vary it, and that's what I quite enjoy is
the progressions.
Finding that level that someone that couldn't. I can't do gym. Of course you can. You just can't do the gym that you see other people doing. But there's something you can do.
You can do your gym.
You can find a way. There's a way to make your body move comfortably and progress. And
that's just enough.
The challenge that I enjoy is finding that.
From a trainer's point of view. I totally get it. And from when I used to do the classes, you definitely, I have to say, you're definitely all over it when someone's like, I can't do this and that, and you'll find something for them to do.
And likewise the other way, once you say, I can do pull-ups now. Cool, let's do this. I can do muscle ups now. Well, let's do, there's always...
You're equally excited between...
there's always a next step, which is which is a cool thing in gym, but also can be a source of frustration. It's like, where does it end? And the answer is it never ends.
No, it never ends. That's it.
That's right.
That's good. You're always growing. There's always different levels. If you're at level 1.2, there's always going to be a 1.3. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You just got to commit to that lifestyle, really. So, cool. All right. So I suppose the key is progression, that we're really kind of going down that towards that
take
path.
your time for sure.
Take your time.
All
right.
That's so being in a gym in a and that I was thinking about it actually just before we spoke that how do you don't want to sit there and do 1,000 forward rolls, right? It's really boring. So that's part of my challenge as well, especially with kids, is how do you get into 1,000 forward rolls but not get bored? So you're doing it on different surfaces, you're doing it up a hill or down a hill or after a jump. So having that variation. So for adults as well, just because we can't do a somersault doesn't mean there's nothing else you can do. There's always a variety of ways of offering the same thing. I guess the same as if you do a leg pressing versus a squat versus a leg press versus that's right. All these different ways of still building up your squat ability, but you vary it so as it's not so repetitive.
Definitely. It's got to always got to have you got to hit it. There's always different angles and like different bars. There's different.
And part of that's for maintaining motivation, right?
It is too. It's just, and also you don't want to be, if you're sick of doing a barbell squat for a while, you can grab a safety bar or something like that. There's lots of you've got to it's variety is the spice of life with that sort of stuff. So definitely. So let's go with, let's say if someone's they haven't really got much gymnastics experience and they're first starting out in gymnastics, it's kind of hard to tell what level, but say what kind of movements would you recommend that they
So
focus on?
we do a strength class as well. So some people don't want to do gymnastics tricks, and that's
Why
fine.
not? No.
Well, because it's scary, right?
It's scary, isn't it?
Usually it's the fear. So
Yeah.
but then they find as they get a bit more comfortable in the gym, like they say, often, do you even offer classes for adults? Because they think of gymnastics as being a kid's sport, little girls in leotards, which is such a shame because it's way more than that.
And they're pretty good, those girls in leotards.
Well, for sure, yeah, and they do amazing things, right? But there's way more to gym than that, So yes, we do offer classes for adults, and no, you don't have to have experience in gym. You can come in and do from nothing. So from a strength training point of view, probably the same stuff that you would do, like a push-pull with arms, some kind of a squat, preferably full range for the legs, some kind of core stability, and then trying to improve the mobility through there as well. The more your body is able to move through that range, the easier it is to then build up strength through even a shorter range. But we want to have that sort of, I really try and push that mobility side of it.
Yeah, because that's like some minimum. You got to hit bare minimums.
Yeah,
you can't get into the position.
So I was pretty strict when we started adults. So I thought, I don't want. How do I keep people safe, right? So we would do all strength class. Like the strength class was compulsory for like the first, 6 months or whatever. You had to do the strength class. You had to meet a minimum standard in the strength class before you could go off and do the skill stuff.
Okay.
I've relaxed that a little bit more, just because I found that you didn't need it. People kind of put their own limitations, So I didn't need to put those rules in place. People just kind of knew, and maybe through our conversation now the program's pretty established. We've been running adults for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years. I think we started in 2017, maybe. Okay. I can't remember. So adult-specific classes. And so that culture is kind of developed in the gym that people don't come in just to go crazy. It's a small gym too, so it doesn't, it's not like a trampoline with a foam pit that just is tempting just to go nuts in. So, our group is fairly diverse in age and ability, but no one's really too wild that they kind of know their limitations. Yeah, they kind of know their limitations already. So we still do the strength class, and that's still where I recommend most people come and start to get a feel for it. And then we can look at from there, well, if you can do these movements easily, this is what we can do with them. So it's not just being able to do a push-up, and if you can do a push-up, well, then you can maybe do a dip, and then maybe you can do a rings push-up, and then maybe you can do a ring step, and then maybe you can do a muscle-up, and so... That's
a progression.
Yeah, you kind of can progress into that skill-based, strength-based skills. That's most people... Flips, handstands, and muscle-up is like the 3 big requests we get.
Yeah.
I want to do a flip, I want to do a muscle-up.
That's still on my list of flip, but I'll get to it at some point, so...
Come in, we're there.
So okay, so I suppose like
but get your body ready first, for sure. That would
how do they get their body ready first? How would you?
So like that, push-ups, squats, pull-ups, and then some kind of core mobility, like dish shape.
Always dish is the go-to, right?
Yeah, dish.
Yeah. Can you explain what dish is to people who are listening?
Anything that's joining your upper body to your lower body, basically. Yeah. That's what the dish is a really common gymnastic skill that's kind of like this rounded, sort of contracted, posterior pelvic tilt is the word that seems to be the buzzword in fitness. That, PPT, everywhere. It's like, so that's what I need to call it for adults to understand now. And adults do understand that, because
tuck your bum under.
Tucking hips under. So being able to hold your body tight so as it will connect your upper body and lower body. So you're not just wiggling like a dying fish,
That's it.
Something that's going to allow you to connect, especially if you're doing kipping stuff, kip where you're moving momentum from your lower body and trying to produce movement in your upper body, then you need to be able to link those two parts.
Okay, so because otherwise your body just breaks apart.
Yeah, you lose it all. So it goes into, gymnasts are known, pointing toes. Pointing toes is more than just the aesthetic of it. It keeps tension through your ankles, which keeps tension up through your knees, and tension through your hips. So your body works as this one chain. So without that body tension, your pointed toes looks good, but by not just pointing, but squeezing them, you've locked your ankle. You lock your knee, so it creates this tight chain.
And it makes
the chain through the middle is usually where people a week.
Yeah. Well, it's connecting, like I said, it's connecting the upper and the lower, which is quite challenging. So,
and it's a pretty mobile
especially if you're upside down too, and stuff like that. Just mine just goes out the door. Like just.
Well, and that's the other thing. So can you do the movement? One, like, do you understand how to produce this contraction? So you get better at doing that. Then once you're upside down,
just changes the game, doesn't it? It's just like I know nothing.
Direction changes.
It's crazy how the mind works like that. It doesn't make it easy. I'll tell you that. So definitely.
So our basic strength introduction, we have push, pull, legs, core.
Good, and you gave some specific exercises for that, which is it's going to be really useful for people. So cool. So I suppose so you've probably already answered this one. Like you're just saying that really, I suppose when people come through the door, they can really be at any level, and it's just really working out what the progression is. So I suppose with people who, wanted to get ready for gymnastics or want to get back into it, it's really, I suppose they just have to find out what level they're at and work to that, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had a few members that will come in and I guess you to some extent initially, you come in, do a session, get some tips. Like just an assessment you can see when you go and visit a PT, you'll do your session, get an idea, okay, well, I'm not doing that very well. Get some tips, then you go back and you can do all your strength work yourself. If you've got a home gym or something like that, you can do all that strength work at home. But having a coach that you can visit to help with that technique or the next step is different to watching a YouTube video and saying, here's all the progressions, but the progressions, it's a 10-minute video or a 5-minute video. These are progressions that are like 3 months apart, So, and knowing when am I ready to move to that next progression, that's when it's worth coming to see a coach.
Check in or something like that.
Check in, how's the technique going? Am I ready for the next step? What's required for the next step?
Or why I'm not getting to the next step.
And so we do a profile test for that, so we can gauge people's improvement, measure their improvement, and also give them an idea of where their strengths and weaknesses are.
Where the depth,
and then they can choose to address that or ignore it, I guess.
Ignore it and just go full. But it's I just feel like that's just very important because a lot of people out there, even with the injuries and stuff, they just they know they've got an issue, right? But they'll just throw everything in the kitchen sink at it because they'll watch a YouTube video, they'll try this, try that, and then because there's no test before and after, or you're trying too many things at once. You don't know what worked and what didn't work. So it's just really useful. It's really useful to get someone, someone local. You don't have to see me. You don't have to see Andrew.
Oh, there's heaps of places you could go for sure.
Just go somewhere, get assessed, and then you're going to save so much more time. And so much more heartache, and you could save yourself some more injuries and issues. So. Definitely.
No, I love those videos though too. Like, I watch them because they're...
Once you've got a base level, they're good, right? Though. But I feel like, if you feel like you need to have that base level of understanding so that you can get the most out of that stuff. So otherwise you just get really confused real quickly. So sometimes, But it's a great resource these days, YouTube, with everything that's on there. I mean, I'm not on there, so by the way, check me out anyway. Anyway. Let's so I wrote down this question. It's like, why is it so hard to get a handstand then?
Well, we touched on a few of them already. I think that there's so much happening. If you're a complete beginner, it's a basic skill, right? It's a basic gymnastic skill. But still, for a gymnast coming through, they would be 3 years into training before they really have a solid balanced hand, like static handstand. So it's not something that just happens. But it's just, there's so much more to it. You've got to support your whole body weight on your arms.
Okay.
So,
strength, you need the strength.
Strength. You've got strength through your shoulders, strength through your wrists, strength through your body to hold that up.
Stability.
The balance is completely off because you're inverted. Your head's at the bottom instead of at the top. Can you get into the position? So are your wrists ready to be ankles? So can they even move to the right position? It's just, So actually, I use this analogy a few times when you're watching babies learn to walk, right? This essentially, you're going to turn your arms into your legs to do a handstand. Right? So how many babies, I know that it's not perfect because they come in from nothing, right? I get it. But if you're watching that process of a child learning to walk, they spend so much time holding on to something and just doing squats.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a great video of my son. He was just basically doing reps of squats. It was so cool. And they just do in months, you know, sometimes months.
Thousands of hours,
that's
right?
It. They're doing just constant, just standing up with support, using something else to help them. So they're just building up strength through their legs first. Yeah. Then they might stand up and do a little bit of a balance and fall over. Heaps of falling over, tons of falling over when you're learning to walk, right? But it's just part of their development. It's normal, it's expected. And then they might take a couple of steps while they're holding on to things. So they're always supported, you know, like a handstand against a wall. But they do that for a long time. So, you know, this is, if you kind of in your mind go through all those steps, then I think, you know how can you do, you don't have to do a handstand push-up if we do a handstand, because that's really difficult.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
but you need to be able to get into the position, right? So can you even, do your wrist bend the right way?
Yeah.
Do your shoulders go open enough? Yeah. Yep. So can you get passively into the position? If you can get passively, your body like is able to move.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
No, on the ground. Like,
on the ground.
Can your body even go to that position?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if your body can go to that position, can you produce the force to put your body in that position?
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So active mobility. Right. And then can you get to that position and then control your balance? So there's just, as much as handstand's a basic skill.
Yeah. For a gymnast though.
It's a basic gymnastic skill. That's right.
That's it.
There's plenty going, and there might be tons of things that you can do a handstand without all those things. Like if you're really strong, you don't need great mobility because you can kind of hold yourself up.
Yeah.
So you can do a little bit of bent arm or a bit of a bent shoulder handstand. It's still a handstand.
True.
But what do you want to do with that handstand? You know? So I think that's gymnastics is pretty good at that getting really good fundamental skills because of what you want to do next. So if you want to do handstand pivots, or if you want to do good handstand walking, or you want to do a press to a handstand, then you get a stronger handstand.
You go back to the basics and get that better before you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because anything else, if you say, I can do a handstand, but I'm not quite straight, but I can balance, and you're really strong, you can hold it for a long time. But what do you want to do next? That's cool if that's all you want to do, you know, just to do a handstand at your mate's wedding or something like that, you know. But you can do the worm.
No, I've tried that.
Yeah. So
I can almost do it, but yeah.
So what do you want to do with that skill will depend on how much time you put into perfecting basic, you know. Yeah,
because I suppose what you're talking about is like, because people think like handstand is like a very high level skill for like a normal population. It is, I would say. But for a gymnast, that's just base level
the
stuff.
Fundamental skill of everything.
Fundamental.
Yeah, that's right. Like a somersault as well, the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the building block of everything else.
That's it. Like a muscle up is a very basic skill because that.
Well, again, but it takes years for gymnasts to learn that as well.
Yeah.
But if you're a competitive gymnast, you can do a handstand, a muscle up, and a somersault for sure.
Yeah. It's
but
just
you're not a beginner.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just so many progressions, so many. It's. I really like how it works with gymnastics. Because I suppose when you're in the weights room, I just feel like the progressions and the regressions aren't just as obvious in a way, and they're not as
in the weights room or in the
weights room. Yeah. Whereas gymnastics is, you know, like if you. Yeah, the progressions are a lot more obvious, I suppose, in a way. So, because you're not going to be able to jump the progressions because
you can't just get there, right?
You've got to go here, and then you've got to go there. You've got to go there. Got to go there. It's really hard to jump, that way, generally speaking.
But people will just how do you learn
try
handstand?
To, but you'll fall over.
Yeah, that's right. You know, a lot of people. I've been doing this handstand. They'll just kick a handstand and fall over. You do it 100 times, but why?
Yeah,
you know,
that's it. Yeah.
You could
have
get
caught up.
Just
want it.
Do push-ups. Just do support work. And if you're doing it in the correct shape, then you're learning something to help your handstand. It's not. You don't just have to do a handstand. Like that's not the best way to learn. It's just by doing the skill.
True. So what would because that's a bit of a hot thing. Like a lot of people. I mean, I've gone down the road of doing a bit of the handstand work and stuff. It is a long journey.
Yeah.
Like what do you feel like? Because I suppose personally, what I found the hardest of that was just the balancing. Yeah. Like in general, what do you feel like is a precursor to that, you know, if you can do this, you're probably going to be good at a handstand. Is there like anything, or is it hard? Is it too much to?
I say, you know, if you're strong enough to hold yourself on your arms, definitely it helps.
Okay.
Definitely it helps.
Yeah.
But then you might have other limitations, like you can't get into a good position, or you know, maybe you're really limited, like can't get your hands above your head. Then you're going to make it harder for yourself, right? If you can stack everything on top,
Yep.
then it's much easier to stand up. I don't know whether he did that example for you, but if you spent your whole day standing up, at a 45-degree bend, even just a 15-degree bend, you're going to get pretty tired pretty quick.
You are,
right?
Yeah.
So ideally you'd stack everything vertically, right?
Yeah,
so you can use that.
So that's like a bare minimum, I suppose. You want to be able to hold that position, or be able to stack everything.
But why can't you?
Yeah, that's...
Is it wrists? Is it shoulders? Is it hips?
Yeah, there's so many things in the chain.
Yeah. But so first, can you support your weight?
Yeah.
For sure. So a front support with shoulders right over your hands. So you've got the full wristband. Can you go further than that? So you've got a little bit of extra up your sleeve, that you don't want to be working at your physical limit.
Okay.
Anytime you're working at your physical limit, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And you're right at that precipice of, do I get injured or not?
Okay.
You want to have that little bit of extra up your sleeve. Yeah.
Okay.
So with front support, just bearing body weight through your arms.
Yeah.
Being able to move into the position, that's where everything we kind of, as a general rule, can you do the position under partial body weight?
Yep.
And then you can start to increase the amount of weight you take,
yeah.
just using your body weight. But the partial body weight might mean
the
angle, right? Yeah. So using the degree of gravity.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Cool.
I don't know what the equivalent would be in like a PT thing, but
you just put less
more
weight.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you can deload by changing the angle that you're pushing against gravity.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. All right. Cool. Mate, it's been really good to have you here. So let's try to wrap it up a little bit. So, kind of loop back on everything we've kind of come to see if we can kind of summarize it in a little bit. So, a bit of a conversation here. So I suppose like with people that are just looking to return to gymnastics, like whether they've been their old whiz kid that used to do it or not.
Yeah.
What's the biggest takeaway for you that you
do it? Just got to do it. Hardest thing is doing it. The first step's always the hardest step, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Don't feel like it doesn't matter that you're not where you were. It doesn't matter that you've never done it before. If you want to do it, what's stopping you? The first step is definitely the hardest one. If you're not sure about the environment, come to Alpha. We've got spaces for everyone.
Yep.
But there's a lot of gyms now offering adult classes. So
good.
You should be able to find one somewhere, but just get in, try it, have a chat to the coaches, have a chat to the environment, find a space that you feel comfortable, and give it a try.
Started.
Yeah, just get started.
Okay,
good.
Yeah. Good. I like that advice. That's good.
Our catchphrase is start moving. So it's just that's where we are. We're at a hesitant inquiry, saying, I just wasn't sure, I'm a beginner. And I saw your name is Alpha Gym. I thought it was like all for like big, strong guys. I'm like, it's not that at all. This is not our environment at all. Alpha Gym being more like the start of movement. Come here to start your movement journey. That gymnastics is like the fundamental of movement, right? This is just being able to move your body and control your own personal body is the start of being able to do other stuff.
Definitely. Definitely can't recommend it enough. It's been just gymnastics and bodyweight training has been a huge part of my just rehabilitation in the past. So it was just when I was injured, I had an issue, like when I wanted to return to the gym, I just felt like bodyweight stuff was just, it was a better way to go for me to ease back into my training when I was doing the lifting. I think it's
pretty well recognised now. Like there was when I was a gymnast even training, it was all about weights, getting big, using the weights. Arnold Schwarzenegger was like the big name, right? But now I think there's a bit more understanding that body weight doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean light. You can challenge your muscles using body weight pretty easily. So, but I think it's pretty more accepted now that, through the calisthenics movement, the street workout stuff, I think people recognise that you can challenge yourself just with body weight now.
Totally. And you can do some really cool stuff if you put a couple of years into it. So
take your time. That's right.
That's it. Take your time. Spend. It's no different to weight training. Just doing a couple of years consistent training. And then you'll feel pretty good after that. I'm sure. All right. Cool, man. Let's wrap it up. So thanks so much for coming along, man. So let's just let people know where they can find you on the internet. So our social media is not great, but Alpha Gym, I think it's Alpha Gym AU
on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
We dabbled with YouTube during COVID. That we
really?
Yeah, I put a few videos up mostly for
There you
our
go.
comp kids to follow along. There's a couple of little. Actually, there's a handstand workout in there.
Nice.
Give you an idea, some mobility work. So, I can't remember. It was just sort of COVID gave opportunity for a lot of people to dabble with some new things, you know. So it was
definitely.
it's certainly not at Adam's level of professionalism, but it's
we'll have to work on that anyway.
So
you can find
Alpha
on
Gym
YouTube.
AU, and we've got a gym in Ascot Park as our.
Yep. You've got a website.
Yeah, alphagym.com.au. So
Easy
check
to
us
remember.
out. Send me an email. Send me a text. Come in and give it a try.
Yeah, cool. All right, so that's so definitely check these guys out. Like I said, I've been in their classes quite a few times. Andrew's helped me out with a lot of stuff, so my handstand still needs work, but I haven't done it for a good while anyway. So, but thanks so much for coming along, man.
No problem, mate.
Really great. Anyway, that's it for us. My name's Adam, and I help you return to the gym and stay there.